Hey folks, and welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, a podcast where three friends drink alone together. My name's Chris.
What up? It's Tud.
And this is Joe Rogan filling in for Obert this week as a new permanent co-host, replacing him entirely.
Fantastic. Welcome, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, finally.
I may sound exactly like Obert and be identical to him in almost every way, but be assured I am Joe Rogan.
Did you do DMT
also, I'm never
before?
Going to mention... Yeah, I'm never going to mention this podcast on my other podcast. But it's me, Joe Rogan.
Oh, man. So, Joe, now that you're finally getting into the podcast world, what's it really like to be on a very, very successful hit podcast?
Some would say like the best podcast out there.
Yeah, you might have heard I do a different podcast. It's not as fun as this one. It's a lot more boring, and no one listens to that one. So my advice would be don't listen to Joe Rogan Experience. Listen to my other podcast, Drinking Alone with Friends, featuring Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I had to get the subtitle as part of the contract negotiations to come on the show.
Yeah, it's DAWF with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, yep.
Joe Rogan presents DAWF with Joe Rogan, a Joe Rogan production.
I like that one better. Joe Rogan presents DAWF podcast.
I listened to last week's episode. It was pretty good. You guys managed to do pretty well without me / Obert. But I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back, Joe.
Yeah, last week the car was going all over the place. You know, we were careening off cliffs, and
I was impressed. You guys stayed on subject pretty well.
No. There was a good 45 minutes there where we did not release that to the public.
Yeah. The extended cut.
The cleaned up version you couldn't tell, but
yeah, the extended cut was like 45, 50 minutes longer.
We got Lord of the Rings size extended cuts here.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you'd like to listen to that, go on to Patreon at some point. It'll be there.
Yeah, we'll try and make that happen.
Yeah.
But anyways, Joe Rogan, let's just, for the sake of continuity, we'll just call you Obert, but just know that you're Joe Rogan.
Okay, yeah, from here on out, you can just pretend that I'm Obert and like nothing ever changed.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Okay, I like that. That sounds good.
Season 2, we lost Obert's contract, and we had to sign a different actor to play Obert.
Yeah. This is Joe Rogan as Obert. Well, I'm a method actor. I studied all of his whole life, so I should be able to fill in here. So yeah, how was your time? Me, Obert, had a really good time in Connecticut. Hung out with Tud for New Year's, drank some good Connecticut beers, went to Philly, drank some beer there. It was good drinking all over the East Coast for sure.
AKA two cities. Well, two states.
All over two of the East Coast states. Yeah.
I mean, percentage-wise, that's a pretty decent percent.
It's true. But yeah, I was sad I couldn't join you guys, but I'm happy the podcast went off without a hitch, and I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to just get right into it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You know what? In order to get into it, I'm going to go first.
Oh, you totally stole my beer. I was ready to go.
Yeah, but I knew it.
I'm going to go first.
He who hesitates is lost. So, Tud, what are you drinking tonight?
So, as discussed on last week's episode, I went and visited Tox Brewing Company in New London, Connecticut. And Dane had told me about a beer that he was going to be releasing in the next couple weeks. A stout that was brewed with coffee and maple syrup. And it just so happens that a week later, he released it. So, thanks to Mom of the Pod, thanks to Dane, and thanks to Dane's aunt Kathy for pulling all the strings and getting me 2 of these bottles.
Wow, okay.
So this week I brought a stout from Tox Brewing Company called Wisteria. It is an Imperial Coffee Maple Stout. As you guys see in person and as everybody will see on the Instagram, this is a bomber with a purple wax cap on it. Let me just go ahead and pour it.
Yeah, and so while Todd's pouring it, it's got like a bright orange label with a tree with a purple canopy, and it's in a graveyard, really spooky looking images. And there's also, looks like a barrel of Canada Just a barrel of Canada?
Is there just a barrel of Canada on this?
I guess. It just got a maple flag, so.
Yep, it's just a barrel of Canada. So, on the nose, first of all, it's completely pitch black, as you would expect any coffee maple stout to be. It's not barrel-aged, which is important. On the nose, you definitely get a lot of chocolate, a little bit of sweetness from the maple. I don't smell any coffee.
So they didn't give it the PBR treatment and age it in barrels for 15 seconds?
No, I don't think they did.
6 seconds, whatever.
So let's dive in.
There he is, head first into the beer.
Splash.
Yeah.
It is very thick.
Okay.
Very mapley. It tastes like I'm drinking. It tastes like I walked into my cabinet, took out a bottle of maple syrup, unscrewed the top, and just poured that directly in my mouth. It's all I taste is maple. Whew.
Interesting.
Do you get any coffee?
Not a lot. A little bit underneath, but it's not really the flavor that I get is maple syrup. Delicious. A little bit of toasty notes from the coffee way after as an aftertaste. It probably will adjust a little bit as it gets a little bit warmer. I've had it out of the fridge now for probably about a half hour. Probably could use a little bit more. It's a 10% ABV beer. It definitely does not taste like 10%.
Like heavy? It tastes heavier than 10%?
No, I don't taste any alcohol at all.
Oh, okay. Well, you described it as really thick, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it just it tastes like thick, like maple, like my mouth is like coated with maple syrup.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it sounds as though the sweetness probably cuts out so much of that 10%.
Yeah, that's it's just maple syrup sweetness. I bet you my breath smells like right now that I just ate like a stack of pancakes.
It sounds really good.
It does sound really good.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
I could drink this a lot.
I can drink this a lot, especially for breakfast.
Yes, it would definitely be, this alongside a stack of pancakes, it'd be amazing.
Next time Tud goes to the Waffle House and he's like, oh, don't worry, I brought my own syrup. Breaks out a bottle of this and just bloop, 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 bloop.
Yes, that would be perfect. It would be perfect right on top of it.
There you
go. I wonder if that lady still works at the Waffle House.
I don't know. She might be. She's probably a listener.
I just poured the rest of it in the glass. It's even thick coming out of the bottle. It's a thick beer. Delicious. Lots of flavor. I'm going to give this, I think it's 4.5. I mean, it's really good. I could drink this a lot.
Okay.
I'm hoping that as it warms up, I get a little bit more coffee, and we'll report back later in the episode if that does change. If you don't hear anything back from me about that, it means the flavor didn't change.
Well, I want to give you a little hint this week. This is probably one of the highest rated beers I've ever seen on Untapped, and there's only that might be because there's only 40 check-ins, so you would be 41.
Ooh.
So you rated it a 4.5. What do you think?
On the old Untapped or on the new Untapped scale that's yet to be released, second week of 2020, still waiting on
Hashtag Untapped. Let's get on this.
Yeah,
right.
I would give it probably a 4.7. So wow. I'm gonna say out of the 40 check-ins, it is gonna come in at 4.76.
Okay, not quite that high.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think I've ever seen a beer this high. Very close to your rating. It's a 4.48.
Wow, that is pretty high.
Yeah. So maybe by you checking it in at a 4.5, you might bump it up to 4.49.
Let's find out. Let's do it live.
Refresh. It's great.
All right, so I'm going to jump in because I have this beer here.
Hang on.
Hang on, he's rating it.
Yeah, I want to know if it didn't change. Damn.
Oh.
Let me refresh here. Still doesn't have your check-in yet.
So one last thing I should point out about this beer, because it was posted on their Facebook group or their Facebook page. This beer is meant to not be aged for whatever reason. It wasn't barrel aged to begin with, and they were told to keep this. We were told as the buyers of the beer to keep the beer cold and to drink it fresh. So I don't know what that means as far as what would happen if it sat. But
I think with that much maple flavor, I'd be worried about it fermenting more and changing the flavor profile, and you wouldn't get that same maple goodness. So that might be why.
Would that mean that it would turn into like a 25% beer?
I don't think it would get that high, but it probably would go up. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the other thing they could be worried about is, since it's bottled, and if it keeps fermenting in the bottle, it could like explode when you open it.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know if it's
true.
pasteurized or not. So
yeah. So, but luckily you're not waiting that long.
Yeah, I had to hop right in. It's only been aged for about 24 hours at this point. So
okay.
So that's why you had to. That's why you had to go first tonight.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to make sure it wasn't going to explode. No, but Dane, if you're listening, great beer. Cheers, man. Obert, you're up.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to go from a beer that has been not aged at all to a beer that has been. It's a Belgian-style specialty ale aged in oak foeders for nearly 2 years.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, other end of the spectrum here. This is called...
Is it older or younger than CJ?
Well, I don't know. Who knows how long this has been on the shelf for? I don't see a date on the label here, but this is called Cru de Tat, and it's from Ska Brewing out of Durango, Colorado.
I've heard of
It's
this.
even got a ska dude on it.
Yeah, so there's a guy skanking on the front. He's got very much the
Is that the technical
ska
term?
outfit. Yeah, that's how you dance to ska music. You skank. It involves a lot of weird leg kicking, and
It's like what Sami Zayn does when he goes to the ring.
This is like a black and white checker border all around the bottle. Very much in line with the ska mentality here. This is called the Wild in the Streets Ale. So this was a Christmas gift from my friends David and Andrea. They were in Durango not too long ago. They picked up this bottle of beer for me, brought it back, and I'm very excited to try this out. It's, like I mentioned, it's Belgian, and it has a really strong Belgian-y oak aroma. I was telling Todd before the call started here that I get strong fermented raisins flavors with like maybe like caramel molassesy aroma, and tasting it, wow, it was quite sour. I wasn't expecting it to be this sour. The description on the back says, this revolutionary ale has hints of caramel and raisins with a repressed tartness that will overthrow your feelings of inadequacy with a desire to go wild in the streets. So I don't know if I would call this
and between the sheets
tartness. I'd say it's very tart. Probably a little too tart for my palate. I have been letting this warm up for about an hour now, so I think the flavor profile is pretty well developed, and I get a lot of that sour grape flavor. If you're into Belgian-y beers, Belgian's a very broad category, and I don't want to just say Belgian-y. I wouldn't say this is like a Belgian white or wheat ale, right? This is maybe more of a quad style, if I had to guess, where it's got a very strong wild yeast flavor.
Super grapey, super plummy, super sweet, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, because there's like Belgians have like double and triple and quad, and I don't know if in my mind I always just kind of assume that like the more of those flavors you were describing, the higher up on the scale you go. But I bet if we looked into it, there'd be some more distinction between the different styles there. So yeah, this coming in at 10.5% is definitely boozy, and the booze shines through in a good way. So all that being said, this is going to come down to a solid 4.0 for me. It's
nice.
Yeah, it's a very good beer to get someone as a Christmas present, for sure. Drink it on a special occasion. I wouldn't pair this with any food. I think it's just such an overwhelming flavor and such a complex flavor that I think it's best enjoyed on its own.
So no like Wiener Schnitzel or...
No, I wouldn't.
That's
pair any German or Polish food.
I was just trying to think of like Belgian-y area
no waffles.
Food.
I wouldn't pair any waffles with
a
this.
waffle.
There
I guess yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. I'm a little surprised because it sounded as you even said that it's a little too sour for your tastes, and then you gave it a 4, which we all know. Joe Rogan 4 is like a Tud 6.5. So I don't know. Yeah,
you know what? And I might be a little lenient on it because it is such a complex beer. It's not like it's not like a beer that I just tried and I'm like, I don't really like this flavor. Like I'm still pulling out notes of like maybe more banana almost. And I don't know, just there's a lot of subtle flavors in here.
I've noticed that bananas are a common flavor inside Belgian style.
Yeah.
Triples and quads.
Yeah, you get almost like that fermented fruit aroma and flavor.
Like that beer that we drank on New Year's Day, Obert.
Yeah, the last beer I had in Connecticut.
At 3:30 in the morning.
As I almost missed my flight to finish that beer. It was worth it, though.
That beer was fantastic.
It was really good.
Thanks to Tavor for that beer.
Hell yeah. So I think it's a 4. I think the Untapped universe is going to come in at like a 3.88.
Okay, so you're close. And the world is really close to you at a 3.95.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And it goes down as a Flanders Red Ale.
Interesting.
Okay.
Which makes a lot of sense because like that's to sour red.
Yeah.
Right.
If you look at it, it definitely has that golden red color, almost like a very red golden retriever.
Yeah. I brought one of those to the pod, I think around episode 50 from Second Bridge, which is a Flanders Red Ale. The Flanders Red Ales are fantastic like that because they're just so complex. There's just so much flavor going on in there. But yes, you definitely should check that into Untapped right now to help meet our new beers resolution.
1,500 all the way.
2,000.
Oh, we upped it to 2,000? That's right.
I believe we settled on 2,000. Chris has to kind of be the tiebreaker there. But we did settle on 2,000 check-ins for this year, right, Chris?
2,000? Didn't we talk about 1,500 or did we bump it up?
I think 1,500's... let's do 1,500 as our goal and then our stretch goal for when we go to the Great American Beer Fest in Denver. If we make it there, then then our goal will have to bump up to 2,000.
I think our goal should be 2020.
I think it should be... I mean, if you get to 2,000 and not 2020, then...
What are you even doing?
Right.
I think we talked about, because that sounds familiar, and Obert was like, I feel like old Obert was like, I don't know, but sounds like Joe Rogan Obert is on board. So
the only downfall we're going to have with this is like, Joe, aren't you like famous for doing like Sober October?
Yeah, I might be able to. Well, I might be able to make an exception for my favorite podcast, not that super popular other podcast I host.
That was lame. This was cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, Chris, why don't you share your beer with us?
Okay.
Assuming it's a beer, maybe it's a wine cooler. Who knows?
It's a canned wine.
How awesome would it be if he brought like a mixed drink to the podcast?
Well,
that'd be sweet.
We'll find out one year.
We'd be so surprised.
Right?
That should have been your 2020 resolution. Bring one mixed drink.
I have brought one to the podcast a long time ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the New Year's one that I made. But anyway. Tell us about your beer. So
mine was actually semi-inspired by Tud last week. Talking about the the variants of the Dragon's Milk that he had last week. And this one actually came courtesy of our good friend of the podcast, Jenna.
Oh, boo. Jenna, you sent him more beer?
Well, it's the same box.
This is 2 weeks in a row now, right?
Yeah, but it's like fitting because Dragon's Milk,
Yeah.
And it's dragon season, so...
And she sent you a Goose Island Bourbon Stout.
Exactly.
Wait, it's dragon season?
Yeah. Anyways, so this
is Chinese New Year.
wait, we're just gonna skip right by that.
Anyways, so this is the Dragon's
It's again
Milk,
in a can. What the hell?
The Dragon's Milk White, which is the bourbon barrel aged white stout. So pretty excited about this because I don't
New
have
Holland Brewing Company. I'm disappointed. I want frickin' cans. Stone, I'm disappointed. I want frickin' cans. Trogs, I'm in like your backyard, bro. I want cans. Like, what the hell?
Oh, shit.
Why do we have bottles everywhere? Bottles are a pain in the ass.
I don't know how I feel about beer being called something milk and then ending with the word white. I'm like, is there real milk in this? Is this fermented milk?
Get a little too close to the
Dragon's Milk White 2%. I'm like, wait a minute.
So one thing I did notice when I was looking at the can is this is a lot lighter than I expected. It is only 6% alcohol. So
is it actually white?
Dragon's Milk Skim.
It's golden.
Like when you buy like a golden.
So
weird.
Yeah, have you guys not had white stouts before?
No.
Really?
I actually had one in Connecticut at Little House when I was just there. You know, we talked about it around this time last year when I went there. I hit it up again, and they had a collaboration with Outer Light, I want to say.
Nice. I love Outer Light.
Little House has been doing a lot of collaborations. Tox had one with them called, we talked about it last week, called It's Pecan, actually.
You did talk about it, and I wanted to chime in because I was told, and this might not be true, but one brewery pronounces it pecan, and the other brewery pronounces it pecan.
I could see that. They've also done collaborations with Alvarium recently. I heard rumors that they might be doing one with Labyrinth. So they're getting around for that little tiny brewery. Chris, did you go there?
Yeah, I went there when I was up, probably for your wedding, I assume.
We didn't go, right? You went by yourself.
No. Well, I went with some of Dana's friends, yeah. But it was a cool little spot. I mean, I talked to the people and I tried all the beers. And
you saw our sticker up on the wall?
Yep. Of course. Represent.
Yeah. And I should have remembered the name because it's such a good name for a collaboration between Little House and Outer Light for a light stout. It's called Lighthouse.
Oh, it's almost too easy.
Yeah.
Because I know one of the golden stouts or white stouts that I've had in Connecticut is by Enemy of the Pod, Stony Creek. They have their Stony Joe, which is
that's a white stout.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think a golden,
golden or white or something like that. But yeah,
and that's what this is as well.
Yeah,
a golden stout. Yeah.
So anywho, back to Dragon's Milk White, bourbon barrel aged white stout. As I almost knocked over my entire beer, so that would have been bad. I would have been drinking it off the desk.
Moving on, we're reviewing a different beer for Chris this week.
I get hints of floor in this beer.
Is that? Oh, that's fake wood. Awesome.
Carpet. Oh,
between that and pond water,
right?
Chris is slowly developing his favorite flavor of beer.
Yeah, that's it. So, as you can imagine, it's a nice golden color. I did have a bit of a crisp pour on this, so I had to wait for it to die down a little bit. But on the nose, it just kind of smells like your normal beer. I don't get any hints of anything, so let's see what the taste is like.
So I'm imagining that I've never had a white stout, so I don't really is it going to be light? I would think it'd have to be light.
That's very interesting. So,
is it smoky?
Not really. I'm trying to really think of because in my opinion, like a white stout, it doesn't taste as the only way I can describe it, and it's not going to really make sense. It doesn't taste as dark as a dark stout.
You don't say.
Yeah. But it is lighter, I feel, than your just typical stouts. But this one is barrel aged, and it's just like a slight hint of bourbon, which is actually kind of nice. Because I know I've had quite a few stouts where it was like way overpowering, and even though I drank it and they were pretty good, this one's like a nice light drinking beer. It tastes like a stout, except for the finish is a little lighter than a normal stout. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
it kind of finishes cleaner, maybe.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it.
Like it doesn't. There's no lingering bourbony flavor on your breath. It's just and yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then
so it doesn't have like the burning either.
Oh no. It's very like an undertone of bourbon, which is really, really awesome.
And again, it only comes in at 6%. Right?
That's true. Yeah, but it's a very good beer. I'm very happy with it. I'm gonna give this a 4. It's nice, smooth. Just easy drinker. I'm probably going to crush this thing real quick and move on to the next one. But very, very good beer. Very happy by it. So I don't think it's quite as good as the way Tud described his beer last week, but very pleased. Thank you, Jenna, again.
Nice. Well, I'll be happy to let you know that you had this beer on April 14th of 2019, and you rated it at 3.75 then. So
did I really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a taster.
Okay. I see. I don't even remember that.
Duckworth's Grill and Tap House.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah. So what do you think the Untapped universe thinks it is?
I'm gonna say, I want to say 375, but 387.
384.
Damn it! I almost said 385, but I still would have been wrong. But anyways,
damn it! I was almost a little less wrong.
One day it's gonna happen.
I know. It's only a matter of time. Oh, see, I don't even remember having this. So, anyways, I'm glad I like it more now than I did then.
Well, that's what Untapped is for, right? I mean, if you had perfect memory of every beer you ever tried, who would need Untapped?
Right. It would have been even better if it was like you rated it a 2.2.
So this weekend, I had ventured to one new brewery and one not new brewery that I've been to once before with Chris, and I wanted to bring them up on the pod. You were there. I want to bring them up on the pod. I figure that it's worth highlighting, worth driving some of our listeners that live in Connecticut to these breweries. The first is,
can we name this segment like Brewery Highlights? Because I feel like we do this a lot, but we don't have a name for it.
Yeah.
Brewery Highlights. That's maybe we'll workshop the name.
Brought to you by breweries.
Brought to you by Joe Rogan. If you got a better name for this segment, email us dawfpodcast@gmail.com.
Joe Rogan's Brewery Hour.
So, at first we went to Lupoletto Brewing, which is in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. They are brand new. They're right next door to a Chinese place, in just like a strip mall. They're really just out of the blue. There's a brewery there. So we went on there. They had 5 beers on tap. One of which was a pale ale. One was a milk stout. 2 were IPAs, but they were the same IPA. One was Hopagary and one was double dry hopped Hopagary. And then the last beer was an English style porter. So it wasn't like a normal porter. It was more brown ale than stout. Overall, really, really good. Solid little upstart brewery. They only have like a small brewing system in the back that they're brewing out of. Lupoletto is the name. It's an Italian name where it's the word that means like to go like pick malt from like trees on stilts. So it's an action. So really cool brewery. Bought a glass.
Pick what from what on stilts?
Malt.
Do we need to bring Malt Minute back?
Listen. This is what I was told by the people at Lupoletto.
Okay. Well, like, malt is made from grains, like wheat or rye. Wheat does not grow that tall.
It does.
And it's usually harvested by a combine.
Yeah, this is an old way of doing it.
It's for when children used to pick wheat.
Yeah.
All right, hang on one second.
Joe Rogan presents Googling Tud.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
We gotta bring our friend Crystal back to explain what how malt works. You don't pick malt. I mean, if anything, it would be a grain, and then you turn it into malt by roasting it.
So Lupoletto means hop farm or hop yard in Italian.
Okay,
it pays homage to the brewer's Italian and agricultural heritage and the craziness that led the 2 owners to plant 60 hop plants nearly 10 years ago. And set in motion the series event that would lead to the brewery. The logo is hops are a climbing plant, which have been commercially propagated for many centuries. Most varieties don't produce flowers in the first few feet of growth, so they are traditionally trained up by strings, typically 2 or 3 per plant, attached to very tall trellises. So the logo is them standing on stilts picking hops from the hop plant. This makes a little bit more sense.
Yes, it does. That was kind of what I thought this was going to end up. But
he's a hop harvester. In the days before modern farm machinery, men would use stilts to chop the top of the strings from the trellises and drop the bines to women and children below, who would painstakingly pluck off hop cones one by one.
Cool. So we learned a little bit about hop farming and Lupolettos and malt. So
there you go.
Always.
If you guys ever want to know the word for hop farm in Italian, apparently it's Lupoletto.
There you go. Awesome.
The second brewery we went to was Problem Solved Brewing in East Windsor. Chris, we went there one day.
Yeah.
With you, myself, Dana, Caitlin, and CJ.
Yep.
Happy to announce that they still brew really good beer. They opened up. Remember that door that CJ kept on trying to open up in the brewery?
Yes.
Well,
you can't have doors around this kid. He's a door machine.
Well, next time we go there, it will no longer be an issue because they turned that back room into a game room.
Oh, that's cool.
So now there's no door, and they've expanded the brewery's footprint by a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Their beers were fantastic. Obert, they had 2 milkshake IPAs, which made me think of you. Because Obert was on a quest to find milkshake IPAs when he was in Connecticut and failed.
And this is a mini. Put a pin in your review of this brewery, your brewery highlight, real quick. I feel like milkshake IPAs disappeared. I was all about them, and then now I went back and I'm like, oh, where are the good milkshakes? I went to a couple package stores. I couldn't find a lot of stuff. They seemed like they were a flash in the pan, and everybody's like, oh, no more lactose. And I still enjoy them. If you brew beer, bring milkshake IPAs back.
Alvarium did one a couple weeks ago called Thick, which is a milkshake IPA with blackberries. It was delicious.
Nice. Sorry, I'm taking the pin back out. You can resume your brewery highlight.
No, but just overall, Problem Solved was great. I think last time we enjoyed it a lot. We ended up we watched the entire Bills Texans game at the brewery. So great place to hang out. Fantastic atmosphere. Tons of games to play. The beer was really good. I recommend they had an oatmeal cookie porter there, which reminded me a lot of my beer that I brought to the pod last week. So thumbs up on that from those guys. Overall, 2 great breweries I just wanted to highlight in our brewery highlight segment, brought to you by Joe Rogan.
Can I jump on board this brewery highlight train? Because it was my first visit back east in a little bit, and we talked about how I went back to Little House, but one brewery that I don't know if we've discussed on the podcast before. I don't know if either of you have been there, but I went to Hop Culture in Colchester, Connecticut. That brewery just opened up recently. It's very much something that we don't have here in Montana, which I really enjoyed, because it's an old New England property with the brewery is a converted stable. So it very much had a strong New England vibe to it. The reason it's called Hop Culture is because they grow their own hops. So they cultivate their hops. They have a head brewer is a woman, which is always refreshing and cool to see. They also have lots of fun card games, and one thing I like is all of their tables. Most of the tables are 8-seaters, and they have signs being like, "Hey, join some people already sitting down and make new friends." So they kind of have that beer hall mentality of making friends at the table. And they also had cool live music. They have a really neat outdoor area, which was closed for the winter. But if you're passing through Colchester, it's not too far off the highway. Worth a stop in for sure. I really liked it. They had good beer.
It's right near Cato Farms Cheese Company, too.
Yeah.
So if you want cheese, you can go buy cheese and then go to the brewery. I did an Instagram live video from there last summer.
Yep.
For those of you who follow our Instagram religiously.
Right. The four of you that do. But
hey, the head brewer, she's awesome. Her name's Heather. She makes fantastic beer.
Yeah. I've heard of, having lived in Colchester for 5 years. I had heard of this place, and it never opened up until, of course, I moved away. My theory is breweries were afraid to go to Colchester because they wouldn't be able to supply me with enough beer. So,
now there's 2 of them.
Now that I'm gone, they open up 2 bastards. I'm just kidding. Well, I'm half kidding.
I mean, Fox Farm was there, and
That's true.
They could not support you while you were there.
Yeah. It's a good thing you left, or you would have drove them out of business. One beer that I wanted to especially highlight from there was their Elf Yourself, which was their Christmas beer. It was a sweet potato ale. Ooh. And I had never heard of such a thing. And they serve it with a graham cracker rim.
That sounds awesome.
It was unique. I always appreciate it when they try something I've never even heard of before. So cool spot. Check it out.
Nice. I will check it out this weekend.
I'll check it out in a year, give or take a year. So yeah, I'm going to jump on this Joe Rogan Presents Brewery Hopping, a Joe Rogan production, written by Joe Rogan. And I know we were talking about it and joking about it, but I was 50 or 60 beers away from hitting my new beers resolution. So on December 31st, I was actually trying to make a push for it, see if I could get it done. I didn't.
I like how you decided the day before or the day it was ending to like go for it.
I gotta try and get there, right? So, but I went to Ask Clown Brewing, which I've mentioned on the podcast before.
Such a great name.
Yeah, great game, great brewery though. I mean, I love that brewery. And we got a couple. Actually, I was asking for half pours on my flights because I was like, "Listen." And I explained the whole situation. And he's like, "That's weird, but I guess I'll do it." I'm like, "Cool." I was like, "I got to try and drink 60 beers today." He's like, "Okay." So I basically drank their entire board. And then we went to Ghostface Brewing because their beer lab wasn't open. That was going to be my ticket. Like the beer lab has a bunch of different beers. But they were closed that day. So we went to the regular Ghostface. I accepted defeat, but I had a couple flights there. And it was a good afternoon. I mean, we had babysitters, so that was awesome. We didn't have to chase CJ around the brewery. We got to be adults and play cards and things like that.
Wow.
I ended up getting 615 for the year, so, not too bad. I mean,
that's pretty good.
Pretty good push for it.
Yeah.
So that means that you did 45?
No, I did 25 or something like that. Yeah, but I made a solid push for it. But it was fun. It was the first time Dana and I were able to go out in a good long while, just the two of us. So
nice. Well, it sounds like a good way to ring in the new year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
What were you doing at midnight?
Went to bed.
Were you asleep by midnight?
I wasn't. She was. So
yeah.
Oh man.
Popcorn is trying to eat my chair.
So a quick beer update. Some of the cold brew did finally pop through. The beer's a lot warmer now. A little bit of hints of cocoa nibs as well, probably from the coffee itself. If anybody who's had cold brew coffee knows that coffee tends to have cocoa nibs flavor in it. Yeah, so that was just my quick little beep, 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 beep update.
Nice.
I want to transition from a brewery highlight segment to a brewery gossip segment. Can we do that?
Ooh.
Sure. Hey, Obert, you got any gossip to tell me?
I do. So I want to preface this segment and say this is all totally unconfirmed. This is just what I heard on the chairlift today. So no
Can we
official
call this
sources
segment
here.
from Gossip from the Chairlift?
Gossip from the chairlift.
Even
Nice.
if we find out gossip that's not from chairlifts.
Yeah.
I have something to go with this too, so this is good.
So the word on the street is the local brewery by me, the Great Northern Brewing Company, they are closing up shop, which is a real shame because they're like right on the corner of downtown Main Street. Like they sponsor a lot of local events around here. So if this is true, it would be a real shame to lose these guys.
What beers do they do?
My personal favorite from them is the Big Mountain Tea Pale Ale, which tastes a little bit like Earl Grey to me. But they also have the Going to the Sun IPA. They have a lot of good stuff. But
I've apparently had the Big Mountain Pale Ale.
Yeah, I think I brought some back to Connecticut last New Year's, and I might have sent you some as well. But I'm gonna be sad if they go. But the word on the street is, and everybody's wondering who's gonna move in because the way the brewery is set up, it'd be like impossible to take their tanks out. And I have some dogs squeaking toys in the background.
Hey, the clown car just got to Obert's house.
There might be more toy squeaking. That's my dog Popcorn joining in on the podcast. So everybody's curious who's going to move in because a lot of the breweries around town they're not really up to scale that high, or they're just moved into a new spot and they're not really ready for that size of production. So the rumor is on the chairlift that Lewis and Clark from Helena, which I talked about before, might be moving in. If so, I think it would probably be, there might be updates to this as the year goes on. I think it'll be a little ways away. But this is the hot gossip from the chairlift. So you heard it here first. And if it's not true, sorry.
People are going to start walking into the... People are going to start... Jesus. People are going to start walking into the brewery going, hey, I heard from a podcast that you guys were closing.
Right.
And
Very
they're going to look at
reputable.
them.
Joe
They're going to look at
Rogan's
people
on
like
it.
so
Joe
confused.
Rogan told me you guys are closing.
Oh man.
So we'll see. I'll keep you updated, but that's it for gossip from the chairlift.
Well, no. I've got more gossip from my chairlift.
Oh, okay.
So apparently, Back East is building a new brewery as we speak, and they've hired the same contractors as the Alchemist and Treehouse to build them a giant facility in Bloomfield, Connecticut.
Nice.
Wow. They're good. They make good beer.
They do make really good beer. According to a 2018 poll, Ice Cream Man was a top 5 IPA in the country. But apparently they're building a new brewery with plans to open sometime in 2020. First time I heard of it, so it could be completely gossip, or there could be a brewery being built somewhere that's going to be massive.
Interesting.
Well, you never know when you're on the chairlift who the person next to you is, how reliable they could be. So,
Right. That's awesome. I don't have any cool chairlift gossip. Sorry. Here, my chairlift gossip is Treehouse is moving to North Carolina. Right down the road from me.
According to this dream I had last night, Treehouse is moving to my street, and they asked me if I would be a beer taster for them.
Yeah, they're moving into my backyard.
And they're paying me $1 million a year. That's just what I hear.
Just what I remember when I woke up. So we'll see. Unconfirmed. And so with that, me and Popcorn would like to welcome everybody to our final segment, our three-handled Frosty Mug of Wisdom, where we share things we like, things that people have given us, things that we've bought ourselves, things we've experienced, seen, enjoyed, or not. Maybe we thought they were just bad movies, but welcome back. We last week we had the two-handled mug, which we quickly swapped out for the three-handled mug because we had a bonus handle last week, but I think we're going to be just at 3 this week. I'm going to pull the mug off the shelf and give it over to Chris.
All right. So I think we talked about it a little bit last week. Well, we mentioned it, or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember now, but I actually got to go see a movie for the first time in a long time in a movie theater as an adult. And I went and saw Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So,
okay, hang on. Is this any spoilers in this review? Do any of our listeners need to fast forward?
No spoilers. I'm going to say I really enjoyed the movie. So, Todd says but I really enjoyed it. It was one of the first Star Wars movies I've seen in a very long time where I was actually like eyes glued to the screen because I was like enticed by what was going on. So,
as opposed to falling asleep?
Well, no, but the other movies, Episode 8, I was like, whatever. But I actually cared.
Maybe I'll rephrase it and say this is the most exciting of any of the Disney Star Wars movies that have been out so far. Is that fair to say?
Was Rogue One a Disney one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
no.
So when you say a long time, you mean since Rogue One?
Rogue One was really good.
Yeah, Rogue One was. I think Rogue One was the best one.
I think Rogue One was great.
Rogue One was really good. This one I really enjoyed.
Episode 9, I'd found everything. The story was very convenient. Like that would be my biggest gripe with it, is that a lot of the stuff that happens is there conveniently. Can't go into it because I don't want to give away spoilers.
Right.
But I would assume that some of the things that happen are very convenient in the way that they happen.
I don't disagree, but I enjoyed it. So, if you're a Star Wars fan and you're reluctant to go see it, I would go see it. It's better than Episode 8. I can tell you that much.
It is better than Episode 8.
I would say it's better than Episode 7. So it's the best of the trilogy, and it was good. There was some good flashbacks or not callbacks rather. So that's my handle this week. Rise of Skywalker. Go see it.
There we go. Well, I was gonna say, can we maybe have so this is breaking news. We have a Discord channel now.
Oh, there you go.
I never had Discord before. So maybe I'm not the best person to explain it, but what is Discord, Chris?
So
what is a Drinking Alone with Friends Discord channel look like?
Okay, so it's very it's in its infancy, but essentially Discord is a chat server of sorts, generally used by folks that play video games or things of that nature. I'm in one for Pokemon. And I was thinking, I was like, oh man, it would be pretty cool to get in touch with like our listeners and have like a more direct link with them. So you can go on and there's different like sub channels that you can go, or channels that you can go into, and you can go to the correct channel and talk about beer, I did make a Pokemon one in case there's any Pokemon fans out there. There's like a general conversation, and well, 2 out of the 3 of us so far are in the Discord. So, you know,
do you talk on it? Like, is that what happens?
You can
text chat,
but it's like a text chat. It's like a chat room.
Yeah. So it would be possible. What you're saying is to make a new channel within our Discord for Star Wars spoiler discussion.
Yes. There we
go. Spoiler discussion for people who've seen Star Wars Episode 9 and want to hear Chris and Tud's deep thoughts about it without having to shell out $1 a month for our Patreon.
Right. Now, if that's if you want to read it. If you want to listen to it, that's $1 a month on Patreon.
Right.
But yeah, so we'll put a link in the show notes that you can go on and check out the Discord and join. Right now, it's me and Obert talking about Tud, so that's about it.
Yep, it's kind of like our email address, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. The new email address is Joe Rogan at joerogan.com.
Yeah.
But
/DAWF podcast.
There you go. Anyways, so my handle is done. Rise of Skywalker. Go see it. I'm going to pass the mug off to Obert.
I want to highlight today a very fun, cool Christmas gift that I got that is also appropriate for the podcast. If you follow our Instagram, at some point you will see what I'm about to describe in one of our posts. I got 4 whiskey rocks glasses. And they're a set. It's called Whiskey Peaks, and they have mountains molded into the base of them. So the one they have like a American edition, and they also have an international edition. I was gifted the American edition. So it has some very famous U.S. mountains in it, and I realize Christmas is over, but this is something I never would have bought for myself. This is a great gift for a whiskey drinker or beer/cocktail Instagram haver in your life. I thought it was a really neat gift. I'm excited to try them out and bring them to the show and bring them to our Instagram. I think it'll be something neat because, I live in Montana. I moved here because we have mountains. So it was really a perfect gift for me. But if you have someone in your life who likes mountains and likes whiskey or just liquor in general, here, it's a free Father's Day, Mother's Day, birthday. It's all coming up. Mm-hmm. Just, think about it.
Yeah. That's one thing that I was like definitely realizing, because I'm like, I tell Dana, I'm like, I got to get into bourbon, like I like bourbon. I just don't drink it ever. But then I go into my glass. I don't have any like proper glassware, everything is like big pints or my poor character glasses or something like that,
You could stick a lot of bourbon in those.
Oh, I know, but that's part of the problem. It's like, I don't want that much bourbon. So I need a set of glasses. So I don't know if
I think you got to own the bourbon first.
You think so?
Do you own any bourbon?
I have some Crown.
He owns 1 bourbon.
Well,
1 bourbon in this household.
Maybe go to the liquor store and get like one of those gift sets where they come with the glasses.
Oh, that's a good call out.
Or follow my handle. Those are your options, I think.
Those are the two options, yeah.
Yeah.
I did buy a Copper Thief wine the other day, which is a wine aged in a bourbon barrel, and it came with 2 whiskey glasses with it.
To serve the wine in?
Yeah, because this wine you're supposed to drink in a whiskey glass.
Interesting.
Future drink I will bring to the pod at some point when I decide to open up the bottle, but you can do that as well, and that's how you can get wine in a drink to drink in your new bourbon glasses.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, Ted, why don't you take us home? Here's the last handle on our mug.
Yes, so it's getting to be that time of year where people want to do things to go outside and stay active during the cold winter months.
Yes, it is.
For all of those people in the Northeast, I'm going to recommend the Vermont Beer Bus. What this is it's a service where you go up to Vermont and you rent out a room in certain select bed and breakfasts. And then a beer bus will come by and scoop you up and bring you on a tour of certain Vermont breweries. When we went and did it, we went and saw a few breweries around like the Waterbury, Vermont area, and including Lost Arts and others. And basically they have a guy who drives the bus and another guy who's on the bus who's a award-winning home brewer. And so he will share beers with you on the bus. You will also go to different breweries and get tours as well as free flights and have the ability to buy hard-to-find beers. So at the time when I went up there, that was before the Alchemists had their brewery and before Lawson's had their own brewery. So the beers that we walked away with were Heady Topper, Focal Banger, and Sip of Sunshine. But I'm assuming there are other harder-to-find beers now up there. Really cool, though, because you get away for a weekend at a Vermont bed and breakfast, and you also get a few beer tours out of it, too. So, again, Vermont Beer Bus. Go check it out.
I like that handle. It's funny because I thought you were going to be like, this time of year, people making New Year's resolutions to be more active outside. But no, you're like, you want to be outside in the winter? Get on this bus. Drink some beer.
Correct. You get to hang out with a lot of people who are like-minded like you and who want to also drink beer. And you can also purchase beer and bring it on the beer bus with you. And you could drink your own beer on the beer bus if you'd like.
Wow. Very cool. Yeah, that's a solid handle. You know what? We talked about this because, before we get into our closing spiel here, we mentioned this on the pod, but for maybe new listeners, for Chris's bachelor party, we had brother of the pod, Brad, drive everybody around in a van we rented. And we went to a few Southeast Connecticut breweries, and we had a really good time.
Five of them, actually. And one of them was in Rhode Island.
That's right. Just over the border. And, if you were to do it today, you could probably make that same loop and hit up like 12.
Yeah, or more. Or more easily.
Yeah.
Fox Farm would be on there. Fat Orange Cat.
If we were to do it tomorrow, we absolutely would go to Tox, which we talked about today.
Right.
Correct.
So we talked about, and after the brewery tour, I was like, oh man, this would be such a good business idea. So if anyone wants to get into a Joe Rogan Experience partnership with starting a brew bus tour in Connecticut, I think there's some serious potential there. Email me. We'll discuss royalty and licensing fees. No, I really think that what you're describing, Ted, would work really well in Connecticut.
Yeah. So funny you should mention that, Obert or Joe Rogan, whichever you prefer. Connecticut actually does have one called CT Beer Tours. Find it at ctbeertours.com. They have 3 pre-planned ones, and I think you can also plan your own. As I'm staring at the website, I'm not going to dig into it live on the podcast, but right off the bat, they have a Hard Hittin', which I'm assuming is New Britain Beer Tour, Central Connecticut Beer Tour, and a Manchester Beer Tour, which the Manchester one, there's 5 breweries in Manchester now. New Britain has about 5 or 6 as well, so you're probably looking at hitting up 4 or 5 of those breweries on your beer tour. The Hard Hittin' one has Alvarium, 5 Churches, Kinsman Brewing, and Relic Brewing, so you get 4 out of that beer tour. And they're only $20.
Oh, that's not bad. Maybe we should reach out and see if we could get some kind of partnership going where we send one of our hosts, Tud, on the experience, and then they can review it on the pod. That'd be fun.
That would be fun. You know what? Let's make that happen.
Yeah. In an ideal world, I could see us having like a bus full of podcast listeners, and like that could be a podcast event. That'd be fun.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Do you think they would let me create my own beer tour?
Well, you already have. And we already have the Tud's Magical Mystery Tour.
Right, but we could do like the Drinking Alone with Friends beer tour.
That'd be sweet.
As brought to you by ctbeertours.com.
If you're listening after Tud has reached out to you and sent you a link to this podcast with a timestamp for just this part, reach out. We'll it'd be fun to do. It'd be fun to collaborate with somebody like that.
It'd be fantastic. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. There it is. It's done.
And so with that, we'd like to thank you all for listening. We'd like to thank the breweries that provided today's beer. I will go first with thanking Tox Brewing Company for providing Wisteria, a Imperial Coffee Maple Stout.
I'd like to thank New Holland Brewing for their Dragon's Milk White, which is a bourbon barrel-aged white stout.
And I want to thank Ska Brewing out of charming Durango, Colorado, for their Cru d'Etat Wild in the Streets Ale.
we'd like to invite you guys all to go follow us on social media everywhere. That's Facebook, Untapped, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as we discussed, our new Discord channel. Everywhere we're DAWF Podcast, Discord, we are, I believe it's Drinking Alone with Friends, right, Chris?
There will be a link in the show notes.
Right. Okay. Oh, so so just go down south, click that little link right on your feed, and boom, Discord. Also, hashtag follow the email at dawfpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you're doing. Nobody emailed us and told us what they were doing this week when they were listening to the episode. We didn't get any yes or no's. Did you take a poop? Did you not take a poop? We want to know.
And if you're following us on social media, you probably saw our post of the poll of who's going to replace Obert as the co-host. So we like to do fun stuff like that all the time on Instagram, wherever. So make sure you're following us there, or else you're missing out on some fun DAWF content.
Very true. Make sure you head over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a review. It's really important for other people to find us. We are actively working on more people attempting to find us, so we ask that you guys just do that to help us out. Also, if you see our posts on Facebook or Instagram, go down to the little bottom and click share, and just share it to your friends, because you'd be surprised at how many of your friends also like beer, and they're probably just looking for a really good brewery podcast to listen to. Also, head over to Patreon. For as little as $1, you get a lot of extra special content that we'll release on there, including the potentially the 45 minutes missing from last week's episode of Drinking Alone with Friend. And with that, my name's Tud.
My name's Chris.
My name is Obert. And remember, if you're drinking alone, do it with friends.
You know what we missed this week with no Obert? 2
What's
beers.
That? Yeah. we didn't follow through on the 2020. If it would have been 2030, and that would have been all messed up.
2 beers, no Oberts. 2 beers, no Oberts.
Thank you, Joe, for filling in this week.
Thanks, Joe.
I do what I can. I'll get that check in the mail anytime, right?
Right.
Oh, you think we're paying you?
You think I'm doing the goodness of my heart?
Yes.